and some girl, I don't even remember the girl.
So wait a minute, he did 2 hours, and this was pre-Chappelle show, and they let him do 2 hours?
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, he was already big in that world.
Right.
He was already in the stand-up world, in New York especially. He was in 2000, he was probably like, I was 20, he was probably like 28, 29, something like that.
That's about right, yeah.
And he was this 19-year-old kid that took storm in New York City. Like, this, you heard about that 19-year-old from DC? He's killing it. You know what I mean? He was like that. So yeah, he was the man in the cellar, in the Comedy Cellar, in any club he went into. And he did like 2 hours, and our whole conversation from where we were walking somehow got into his jokes. And I was like, this dude is amazing. Then we leave, and he's like, let's go get something to eat. And he goes, yo, I'm doing some pilot for Comedy Central. He's like, can you DJ? So like there's like energy and vibe in the room. And then I was like, yeah, sure. And then Neil Brennan calls me and was like, yo, that's his partner. Come do this.
Yeah, I know Neil.
Yeah, be here at this time, do this, do that. And then I did it. We shot the pilot. And then I saw Dave a few months later. And I was like, yo, Dave, whatever happened to that pilot? And he goes, oh, yeah. They picked it up.
By the way.
And I was like, are you excited about this? He goes, I don't know, whatever. And I was like, okay. He goes, you want to DJ on the show? I was like, yeah, I guess if you want me. Like, are you like even excited about this? And then, so then I just got on the show like that. And then it was the best because like Donnell Rawlings, Ashley Larry would warm up the crowd. And then Dave would come out and he would do some warm up before he started. And we just did like these little musical things. I would DJ something, he would talk about it. And then he was like, yo, you got good chops. Or when you hear something, you know to pull something up right away. He's like, you should try stand up. And years later, here we are.
Damn, okay. And so I know, right? Gunshots going on over there. So when what made you finally decide to get on stage in 2007? What was going on?
It was a very weird start. I hate the way I started comedy, but I was on the radio and people would always say I was funny on the radio. Yo, you funny, you kind of funny. So my hustler mind was like, why do they keep saying that? How do I make money with funny? You know what I mean?
Straight up.
Okay, I have a following. I could get, because of the radio, I can get a room at any club or a night at any club. And like other people, like Ed Lover had like a show he was doing at Caroline's. Wendy Williams had a show she was doing at Comics. Like, so it was just like their comedy night. So like, all right, I'm gonna try that. And I just got a club and packed it out and got comedians. I never put a comedian on my flyer because I learned comedians like cancel a lot of spots. So I was just like Cipha Sounds and Comics, and my crowd would just come pack every month. And just, the first one I didn't even host. The first one I just went on stage, said hello to the crowd, and then brought up the host.
Gotcha.
And then the next one, I stayed up there a little longer. And then the next one, I stayed a little longer. Then the next one, I didn't even hire a host. I just started hosting myself.
Oh, okay.
And then getting one laugh was good enough for me. Like, hey, y'all, thanks for coming, da-da-da-da-da. Get a little laugh. I was like, oh, this is
good night, everybody.
Yeah. Here's the next comic. And then like after like a year or so, some of the comics were like, we were kind of funny about doing this show in the beginning because a lot of radio DJs do these shows around the country, but they like steal material or they act like they just using us. But I was like, no, I love it. And I was like paying well for like a spot. And like the club was like, you only have to give him like $20. I was like, I'm not giving no man $20. Like that's foul. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'll give him $100 or $200, and they were like, you're paying way too much. And the comments were like, yeah.
Right. But you built those relationships. I'm sure you still cool with them people today.
To all of them. If you got beef with me, you got hate in your heart, because I don't have, I squash beef right away all the time.
Yeah, that's what
I heard you thought I said this or this happened. Like, can we squash this? Like, I don't let it linger, yo.
Nah, straight up, I'm the same way. So we wrapping up. I got a few more questions for you. One is, how did you link up with Michael Che? And let me speak on Michael Che before you do. This dude is the truth. I'm very hard on stand-up comedians. I mean, I pride myself as being like one of the up and coming. I mean, I've done some things in my life. Look at that. Man, Hannibal and Michael Che. But I went to New York. I was in New York doing some clubs, and Chappelle was headlining Radio City Music Hall.
Oh yeah.
And I went on the night where all the SNL cast members.
I wasn't there that night.
Okay. Yeah. That's the night I went. Me and my homeboy went.
It was like Colin Jost, Leslie Jones, Pete Davidson,
and Michael Che.
Yeah.
Fire night. Solid lineup, right? And everybody was funny. But it was something about Michael Che. I said, and this is the comedian in me. This is like, we tough on other comedians, so we sitting back and I'm like, this motherfucker got it. I'm like, he got it. Like on some like going down as one of the greats, got it.
Thank you. I always say that.
How did y'all link up, and then how did y'all start going on the road and touring together?
Okay, first of all, I want to say I personally hate Michael Che with a passion, with a deep, heartfelt passion. I hate this guy. Michael Che, I was doing a show at Caroline's, the safe show I was telling you about earlier. I used to do it at Comics. That club closed down. I moved it to Caroline's. The booker in Caroline's kept pushing this. I want you to see, can my friend Michael Che do the show? Michael Che. I was like, who? I don't know who that is. Mind you, at the time, I was still like in the urban world, like booking Talent, Capone, all those guys, which I love. She kept pushing this Michael Che guy. So I was like, all right, I'll give everybody a shot, So he comes down, and the funny thing is this is before he had any TV, anything. And he was so excited to meet me, like one of his favorite radio guys. And like Michael Che is probably like 10 years younger than me, maybe, 10 years younger than me. And like, we just hit it off on some New York shit. Like, he had a Mets hat, you know what I mean? Like, and before he even did comedy, we just hit it off. Like, he's like, yo, psych, I can't believe I'm meeting you. This is so crazy. And we just became cool. So he did this show and he ripped. But I could tell his style was a little different than everyone else. Like, I didn't know how to even judge comedy back then.
Right.
I could tell something was a little different. And then from that moment on, literally just friends. Like, I don't think we did a show together for like another year. You know what I mean? Just like friends. And he would stop by once in a while. And then like, I would see him at the Comedy Cellar. And then we were just cool. And then, so then a couple years flash forward, I get into the Comedy Cellar, and now I see him a lot more. And I said, and I got my own money. Like, that's the thing. Like, I started comedy late. I already had a whole nother career.
Right.
So I had bread. I wasn't like this one of these young, struggling comics. And I always wanted to know what it was like to go on tour or do comedy on the road. I only did really New York and a couple other little hood shows around the country, but not really went on do these clubs. So I said, hey, Che, can I go with you to see how it is? Because he was one of the coolest ones. Like, a lot of comedy people don't know my radio life. Like,
gotcha.
They have no idea who I am. They just think I'm some dude that's starting comedy. I mean,
even in New York? Are you saying when
you're in New York? Even in New York. It's funny because like, I'll be with all these comics, these white comics in the Comedy Cellar, and they're just talking to me like the guy who's here, Cipha. And we'll go outside, and some like like 4 black kids will walk by and they'll be like, "Oh shit, Cipha Sounds." They'll be taking pictures and shit, and they're like, "What's happening?
Right.
Who are you?"
Right.
I met the Griselda dudes. You know Griselda, like Conway and the group. It's like a hip hop. They're like real underground.
Okay.
I met them in front of the cellar. Like they were going nuts. But anyway, so I asked Che if I could go on the road with him. And he goes, I don't really like bringing people. Because Che is like, he does not want to be annoyed at all, yo. He hates traveling. He hates touring. He hates like being on a plane, all that stuff. He hates it.
Right.
So I was like, no, I don't want to open. I just want to just go. I'll pay my own way. I just want to see what it's like. So he's like, yeah, come with me.
He like, well, shit, come on. If I don't got to pay for nothing.
Like Cipha's cool. He knows I'm cool. Like, yo, I go with him somewhere, and he goes, you know, once you're in a green room out of town, you know, comics.